now call this meeting of the Benton County Board of Education to order. Will you all please rise? We had the blessing before the Distinguished Service Awards ceremony earlier, so we will go straight to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Michelle, will you please call roll?
Mr. Beach?
Here.
Mr. Thornton? Mr. Hargis?
Here.
Mr. Livingston?
Here.
Mr. Winters? Mr. Hyatt?
Here.
Miss Kinnon?
Here.
Miss Arnold? Here. Mr. Hedge?
Here.
Mr. Mills?
Here.
Miss Douglas?
Here.
Mr. Marks?
Here.
11 present, 1 absent.
With 11 present, 1 absent, a quorum has been established. The next item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. Remember, when we approve the agenda, we also approve the consent agenda, which includes approval of the June minutes, the approval of an overnight trip for the CHS volleyball team to Cape Girardeau, Missouri on July 17th, 2024, and the approval of the annual board agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda and the consent agenda. Are there any, is there any discussion, any additions?
And the only thing I wanted to bring to the board's attention in October, it's different than we've ever done before, but instead of waiting until, fall breaks that week, I put on there that we would meet Thursday the 3rd. That makes it easier for, if we have resolutions or anything, to get those ready for the county commission, because the budget committee is that next Tuesday, so that is different. Usually we just waited till the following Monday. But since fall break falls that next week, we thought it would be better to do it on that Thursday, if that's okay.
Now run that by me one more time.
The October meeting falls, that Monday falls during fall break.
That's good.
So if we wait until the 14th, it's gonna run into an issue, so we thought it'd be better to do that Thursday, the 3rd, before fall break.
Any other discussion? If not, we will vote. Remember, we are voting to approve the agenda and the consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye. All of those, please say no. Ayes have it. Motion to approve the agenda and consent agenda passes. The next item on the agenda is to approve the purchasing cooperative agreements with HPS, which is Volvo, TIPS, Sourcewell, and Byboard. Those are, if you go all the way past all of those policies and the budget, it's at the very front of your resolution packet. There you go. If we can have a motion and a second, we will get Mr. Florence to.
Well, I make a motion to approve, the purchasing cooperative agreement. Second, Ben Morris.
We have a motion and a second to approve these. Mr. Florence, would you like to explain?
If you remember, we did this in April, but in order to suit the comptroller, we thought it would be better just to do this yearly, so just on July 1st, to start the fiscal year, we would approve any purchasing cooperative we have, so we're just trying to get that on schedule. So you did do this in April, and we're just gonna start doing it yearly, because it was recommended by the comptroller's office.
Are there any other questions or any other discussion? If not, we will vote. Ms. Michelle, will you please call roll?
Sure can. Mr. Beach?
Yes.
Mr. Hargis?
Yes.
Mr. Livingston?
Yes.
Mr. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt?
Yes.
Miss Kinnon?
Yes.
Miss Arnold?
Yes.
Mr. Hedge?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
Yes.
Miss Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Marks?
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? 11 yes.
With 11 yes, We have approved all of those. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the policy committee report. Mr. Hott, would you like to read that?
No, but I will. Benton County Board of Education Policy Committee met on Thursday, 27th of June at 6 o'clock. Here at the supports in the conference room. Myself, Mr. Heston, Mr. Winters, Ms. Douglas, Ms. Cannon, Mr. Peters, Mr. Mills, Mr. Marks, and Director Florence were all present. The committee met to review and discuss the following TSBA policy update recommendations due to the changes made by the Tennessee General Assembly and the State Board of Education. A recommendation was made to approve. There's 20+ policies there. I ain't even gonna read the numbers, you got them before you. A recommendation was made to approve policy 6.411, student wellness revisions on first reading at the July 1st, 24 board meeting, all approved. Recommendation was made to approve policy 5.3021 for reading and a new policy on first reading at the July 1st board meeting. You know, all these policy changes, that 20+ up there is, this will be on the first reading. And, meeting adjourned. Make that a motion.
We have a motion to approve this policy committee report. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this policy committee report. Is there any discussion?
And the only thing I would, this does include that new policy that will come on second reading in August, bereavement, 5.3021. So I know we have some administrators here, and just make sure we want the community to know, and our staff to understand that starting this school year, that for death and immediate family, they will have 3 bereavement days. So that will start this school year. Thank you, board, for taking that under consideration and making that happen.
Any further discussion? If not, we will vote. Remember, we are voting to approve the policy committee report as read. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. The ayes have it. The policy committee report has been approved. The next item on our agenda is the approval of all of those policies on the first reading. Remember, that is just the first reading. We still have a second reading, and then we'll have a final.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second to approve all of those policies. We got a packet the other day, and we have another packet of all of these again. Is there any discussion about any of these policies? If there is no discussion, we will vote. All those in favor of approving all of these policies on the first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. The ayes have it.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
Wait.
did a couple of these, if y'all still working on a couple of these?
We're gonna talk to the nurses, about the one, and, we're gonna meet with them and see if there's any changes. And then on the code of conduct, I've sent that to the principals and the administrators. Some of them have already sent some suggestions, and then we'll have a code of conduct ready before the school year starts.
So a couple of them could change, we could get the
Yes.
second reading.
So we have approved all of those on first reading. The next item on our agenda is the approval of a digital arts position at CHS. If we can get a motion and a second for this, we can get Mr. Florence to explain. Ms. Betty Jo, maybe make a motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the digital arts position at CHS. Mr. Florence, would you like to explain?
I would, and if I leave something out, I'll have Dr. Shannon, and Mr. McDowell to help me out. But with the innovative school model, we originally in our plan was gonna have a cosmetology teacher. And that has been difficult to find, and I think the main reason is they can't actually cut hair, it's just teaching. So with that said, We don't have a fine arts teacher as far as teaching art at the high school. Dr. Shannon found out that through the career and technical education, we can offer digital art. And so we have a candidate that we think would be excellent at this. And so it's funded through the innovative school model. It's not even new money. Obviously, in the future, if it works, it could become something that we would have to sustain. But I think it would give our students at CHS a huge opportunity to work in digital arts. And, you know, we have the marketing now where they're designing t-shirts. They can work on the websites. There's just numerous things they can do with this program. So we think it would be a huge benefit, and we are lucky right now to have these funds for the next couple of years to fund that program.
And do the funds include equipment, or we already have equipment to support this?
The fund, they do, we can buy equipment for the next couple of years as long as the grant. So we should be able to set the program up for years for the adequate equipment. Would that be fair, Dr. Shannon?
The proposed budget, in fact, answered that directly. I put $85,000 aside just for equipment. It may not be needed, but we wanted to adequately take care of that program to get it up and going. So it should be more than enough to handle what we need.
Could you explain to a low-tech person what digital arts is all about?
From
Right there.
Okay.
That graphic right there. That the graphic right there. Those are things that are part of digital arts. Website design, anything that you find in your shirt logo, your printing, all this stuff, all that is digital design, digital art.
Thank you.
Do we have any further discussion? If not, we will vote. Remember, we are voting to approve the digital arts position at CHS, which is paid through the ISM grant. We're gonna have a roll call. Ms. Michelle, will you please call roll?
Mr. Peach,
Yes.
Mr. Hargis,
Yes.
Mr. Livingston,
Yes.
Mr. Winters, Mr. Hyatt,
Yes.
Ms. Kinnon,
Yes.
Ms. Arnold,
Yes.
Mr. Hedge,
Yes.
Mr. Mills,
Yes.
Ms. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Marks.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? 11 yes.
11 yes, we have approved the digital arts position at CHS. The next item on our budget is to approve the federal programs budget proposal. If we can get a motion in a second, we can discuss. Do we have a second?
Say,
We have a motion and a second to approve the federal programs budget proposal. Mr. Florence, would you like to explain?
This is our Title I, Title IV, Title V, IDEA budget that you approve every year, and it is a moving target. Michelle's responsible for the federal budget, but the county commission passes a resolution every May, giving you the authority to manage the federal program budget. So this is just the beginning. We'll have resolutions throughout the year, but this is just with the carryover funds that we now know that we have. We submitted the budget to the state, and so we just need the board's approval.
Any other discussion? If not, we will vote. Ms. Michelle, would you please call roll?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Peach,
Yes.
Mr. Hargis,
Yes.
Mr. Livingston,
Yes.
Mr. Winters,
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt,
yes.
Ms. Kinnon,
Yes.
Ms. Arnold,
Yes.
Mr. Hedge,
Yes.
Mr. Mills,
Yes.
Ms. Douglas,
Yeah.
Mr. Marks.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? 11 yes.
With 11 yeses, that budget does pass. The next item on our agenda is to approve the budget resolutions. We can go back to that packet with that extra piece of paper on top. There are several. Would you like me to read them?
I make a motion to approve them as presented.
Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the budget resolutions as they are in our packet. Is there any discussion or do we need any explanations on this?
I I do want to discuss this because this is unusual for us to have this many after we just passed the budget. But I wanted to go through real quick. I can explain them. Number two, there, the first one for the 1.7 million. That is for the Briarwood Road. Pulling that out of fund balance, and when we developed the budget, we didn't have the bids, and so we didn't want to just estimate. So we thought it would be better once we get the absolute estimate of what that would cost, or the cost that we put that in. So that is the 1.7 amount of fund balance to pay for the Briarwood Road. If you turn over to 3, taking that out of fund balance in the contracted services, that's for travel. We have a student that attends the school for the deaf, and we have to provide travel. The state used to provide funds for that. They no longer do that, so we were hoping that would change, but it didn't, so we had to add that to the budget. If you go to number 4, and we'll recognize Mr. Brantley in the coming months, but Mr. Brantley is going to retire, so he is going to contract for 3 days a week. We had to move his salary out of the line item where he's employed into the contracted services, so that's that explanation. The $106,000, that's just a transition of work grant that we approved an additional position in that last month, but now we've received the funds, so we have to budget that. The number 6, that was just a Mark Lawrence error in the budgeting that should have went into the supervisor's code, the 72210, and I put it in the instructional code, so we fixed that. The retirement, 40,000, you have different retirements. We have found it's easier to budget it all in one category and then have a budget resolution to move it in. We have a hybrid for those that were hired probably in the last 5 years, and then everyone else falls under the old retirement rules. So until they tell us different, Marilyn and I have found that the easiest way to do is budget it all in one and then move it to the other. Because it's hard to see how much. So that's are the 2 retirements. And then health services was just money that we received at the end of the year when we were closing the book. So just we go ahead and let that go into fund balance, and then we budget it at the end of this year's budget. And then workers' comp, the insurance and workers' comp, when we developed the budget, we budgeted from last year's insurance with a 5% increase, and if you remember, we did, but it still went up more than the projected amount, so we had to move some funds there to cover. And then the last one is the JAG grant, which is through Career and Technical Education. That's just a grant to fund that position. So I apologize for the large number of resolutions the first month, but I wanted to make sure to give you an explanation. That was a good reason why. Yes.
We bid that insurance every year, if the county did that.
No, that's through the school system. We don't have to, our policy, we did change the policy, I think 5 years ago, we hedged to say that the director would look into it. I think it's a good idea every 3 to 5 years to bid. Usually, in the past, we saved anywhere from $50,000 to $80,000 by bidding, but insurance is going up everywhere, so I still think we probably saved by bidding, but it didn't cut our insurance costs.
Everywhere, I guess. Thank you.
Any further questions? Any other discussion? If not, we will have a roll call vote to approve these budget resolutions. Ms. Michelle, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Peach,
Yes.
Mr. Hargis,
Yes.
Mr. Livingston,
Yes.
Mr. Winters, Mr. Hyatt,
Yes.
Ms. Kinnon,
Yes.
Ms. Arnold,
Yes.
Mr. Hedge,
Yes.
Mr. Mills,
Yes.
Ms. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Marks.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? 11 yes.
With 11 yes, those budget resolutions do pass. The next item on our agenda is the director's report.
Thank you. First of all, congratulations to Ms. Norwood and Ms. Warren. I couldn't sit up here and talk enough about what those two individuals bring to our school system. If you work up here, you know Vicky, and that's all I have to say. But just congratulations to those two, and we're awful blessed to have them working with us and with our students in our school system. Summer camp, I think our third summer camp, is that right, Miss Lori? Fourth. Time flies when you're having fun, but ended on Thursday, June the 27th. Special thanks to the students, parents, staff, and Miss Lori and her team. I told you from the beginning, it's just like having school again. And Miss Lori probably already started on it for next year. And I think she'll tell you the team at central office and our administrative team works well together. But Miss Lori's here, but she puts a lot of effort to make sure that goes well. We had a representative come from the state. I was not here, but I have heard from that person, and he was very complimentary of what was going on at Briarwood for summer camp. So just want to make sure that all those people are recognized, and thank you, Ms. Lori, for the work you do to put that together. This month, we had a meeting with West Tennessee Healthcare. If you remember, we received, I think, a $23,000 check last year for our part of the clinic. This year, it was over $47,000. I think $56,000 is the most it can be, and we will take those funds and put those back in to continue to better the health of our students and employees and to the benefit of the clinic. But I did want to share with you that shows you how well the clinic is doing. So great work to Tara and Amy and the school nurses for making sure that thing is, it's just amazing what our clinic brings to our school system. It really is. We scheduled a building and property committee meeting on Tuesday, July the 16th from 5:30 to 6:30. And I put that in your memo, and I will text you to remind you. And then also, representatives from ESG will be here to explain a possible renovation of Camden Elementary, but they're also going to tour the school at 1 o'clock that day, and if you would like to come and join them, you can, and I will send you a text to remind you that a lot of questions, but we talked about it's at least worth looking into. So they will be here on July the 16th at 1 o'clock to do a walkthrough at Camden Elementary. And then they'll be here at 5:30 that evening to just kind of give you a proposal of what they're thinking about doing. The roof at Briarwood, if you drove by, they're slowly unloading equipment. They're supposed to start this week. Hopefully, we'll have a new roof before school starts, but they are unloading equipment. I don't know that they can do it that fast. It's a pretty big project, but they are scheduled to start next week. The work at junior high, as far as to fix the roof leak, is complete. It's better, but we still have a little leak around the HVAC units, and I think they've been there. I know I seen them up Friday, and I think they were working today trying to fix that. So, but that work's been complete, but we do still have a little bit of a leak. Did it leak this weekend, Miss Gwen? Do you know?
I'm sorry.
Do you know if it leaked when it?
I did not hear anything about it leaking.
We've had enough rain?
Yeah, probably not. We've got several painting projects throughout the schools inside. They completed the field house and the concession stand, and that has been a sore thumb. Those buildings just didn't meet the standards of the rest of our facilities if you go around. So if you get a chance to drive around back and see the concession stand in the field house, it looks much better. I don't say this enough, but our maintenance and our custodial staffs at the schools, I just don't know if you realize how hard they work in the summer. And I wasn't here, but I'm gonna bet the State Department talked about how clean Briarwood was, Miss Lori. And that seems to be the case whenever we have a visitor, so that we need to make sure these people are commended for making that happen. Sure appreciate that. We'll continue several projects with painting, probably gonna start up some new, I think food services supervisors come up with some more things to paint cafeterias, but we'll work on those. I put in your packet, you don't have to approve this, but I want to give you a heads up that we're going to increase adult and visitor lunch prices. You know, it's going to go up to $5. I know we're probably going to have some to with a concern, but if you go eat lunch, you can't eat a small hamburger and a fries at McDonald's for $5. So Michelle put a pretty good explanation for you in your packet. And I wish we could feed our employees for nothing, but that's not the way. It's food services for students, that the money we receive from the federal government. So we just can't. We do allow our staff to eat breakfast. That's something that we've been able to do, but we can't lunch. If there was any way, we would, but the only way we can do that is pay for it, and I don't think that's something that we can do. So we just don't have a choice to raise that, and I think you've seen in Michelle's explanation, I think we're probably still the lowest of surrounding counties. So are there any questions about that? You're allowed to get asked, okay, and I totally understand. But we have to charge for those meals.
Should all the kids still get free lunch?
Yes, and that has been, Ms. Michelle will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're doing better even than we were when we had some paying. So, all students eating for no cost. I think obviously it increases the numbers. And then we still have some that will not eat, but it increases the numbers. So that's a good thing. We will recognize our new staff members at the August meeting so far. I know we have 10 new teachers. I think we have 5 or 6 new support staff. That list is growing a little bit, but we will plan on recognizing them at the August meeting. We're going to close the office Wednesday, the 3rd through Friday, the 5th for the 4th of July holiday. With summer camp and things, this office in the schools, it just seems to never slow down until that's over. So I think our staff more than deserves that break. And so with the 4th falling on a Thursday, we just thought it would be the best thing to let them be off Wednesday through Sunday. And then this is hard to believe, but school starts Thursday, August the 1st, and our next meeting will be in school. So time just keeps moving on. I'm starting my 12th year as director of schools tonight. That's kind of shocking too. But Mr. Kennan, that is all that I have, unless someone has some questions.
I stand corrected, you are right, it's 3 years. We had two years where we'd be ready summer camp, then we had COVID, so we now we have had 3 years.
That's official summer camp.
Official summer camp, so it's 5 years total I've done summer camp, 2 different kinds.
And I will tell you this, there's a lot of media out on TCAP, but they really got it break down from just 3rd to 8th grade. And we were talking with the supervisor today, and we're going to break that down further because we had some that obviously we need to work on. We had some really, our 3rd grade improved a little bit, so we'll have that broke down and we'll discuss that at one of our meetings with you. But those test scores have come out, and if you look at the news and things, I can always say this, I don't like it, but we always kind of fall right there in the middle. We don't want to be in the middle, but I can tell you there's a lot of positives going on out there, and we're working on those things that we know that need to be improved.
I got a question about like the 3rd grade teaching. How many do we end up having to all that?
Daniel's not here, but I think, Miss Judy, there were only 3 or 4 that just had, I don't think there was any more than 4 that just had, no matter what, had to go back into
That
being.
sounds right, it's
And-
close. It's
And I
close.
think last year, and I think it was right at 35% of ours were at expectations or above, and this year it was like 37.9 in 3rd grade. But that's I was looking at this day, 169 students, 50 of them are exempt, and then The biggest thing that, as a superintendent, as a school board member, I think we had 20, I think it was over 20 students that scored in the 60 percentile or above, but were approaching on their TCAP. And all I'm gonna say, and this is recorded to be online, if they're on 60% of Ames Webb, they can read. When you say Miss Laura, we're fair to say that, and so, you know, that one-day test didn't tell the whole story. And we even had a couple, I think we had 5 or 6 over the 80 percentile that were approaching. But we're gonna continue to work, but with that said, those kids are exempt and they won't have to be retained, but that is a lot of pressure on our third graders that we are working hard to try not to let that be what we're about. But we are about making sure our kids can read at the best level and add and subtract and do the math at their best level. Anything?
Anybody have anything else for Mr. Florence? Do we have any visitors? No visitors signed up? If there's nothing else on the agenda, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, wait. Yes.
No,
Oh, you want to? You want to? We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.